Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime, live from our studio here in Kokomlemle, Accra. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace.
And I am Faustina Safo. Tonight, suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo files fresh lawsuit to halt a removal probe few hours after the Supreme Court dismissed an earlier challenge in a 4-1 majority decision, giving Justice Pwamang Committee the green light to proceed with its investigations.
Well, thousands of university students face potential disruption as non-teaching staff at Ghana's public universities declare an indefinite nationwide strike today, citing unmet demands and feeling pushed to the wall.
We'll bring you the latest on this story as the National Labour Commission directs the striking public university workers to call off their strike.
Also coming out, traders call for more time for price adjustment despite city's gains. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism.
It's a good time to take a seat and please be our guest.
Now, the Chief Justice has taken a bold step, filing a lawsuit at the Supreme Court to halt the 5-member committee's investigation into the petition for her removal. The Supreme Court had earlier today given the committee the green light to continue its work after 2 cases filed against the constitutionality of the process were dismissed by a 4-1 majority decision. Legal correspondent Kwekwa Asante joins us with a copy of the application for injunction as filed by the suspended Chief Justice.
Well, yes, Brace, according to this new action that was filed at the Supreme Court at about 3 p.m. today, that was just when that action, the 2 of them that Latif has been covering extensively, were dismissed in court that sought to have the Chief Justice reinstated. The Chief Justice has now filed a new process, this time herself. There have been 3 actions that have been filed so far. First by Vincent Akosefo, the second by a civil society group, and the third by another gentleman. This is the first time that Justice Gertrude Torkornoo herself is stepping into the legal ring to file her own action to make these demands. Her demands are 3. First, she wants an order that will restrain the committee that has been set up by the president to inquire into the petitions against her, and that is the 5 persons on the committee. She wants them to be stopped from going ahead to executing the terms of reference that the president gave for them. And then secondly, he wants an order actually restraining the 2 judges who are on the committee, Justice Gabriel Pwamang and Justice Kwame Asiedu-Adibu, from actually going on. And let's get into the substantive of why the Chief Justice is making these demands. First, the Chief Justice says, if you read the Constitution properly, and this is the Chief Justice speaking through her lawyers in court, if you read the Constitution properly, the understanding is that you cannot hold such hearings in private if the person who the proceeding is against elects to hold this in the public. We now understand that at the first instance of the committee started to do its work last week, the Chief Justice lawyers at the time did indicate that the Chief Justice wants this process to be covered by the media and wants to be beamed live on TV. The committee rejected that because if you read the Constitution is expressed that when it comes to the removal process for superior court judges and the Chief Justice, it must be in camera. And so the committee rejected that. The lawyers for the Chief Justice in this new action that they filed say that if the Chief Justice so elects to hold this matter in public, the committee cannot decide that they will not do so. That is the first leg. And so it continues that the Chief Justice can waive the privilege of in-camera proceedings. It goes ahead to say that the process to remove a Chief Justice is a quasi-judicial process that requires a judicial evaluation culminating in a reasoned opinion. And they do not believe that a Chief Justice will get a fair trial if she wants this process to be public and the committee insists that the Constitution says this must be private, so this must be so. That is the first leg on which the Chief Justice's argument in court is anchored on. The second, which he wants to remove the 2 judges on the committee, that is Justice Gabriel Pwamang and Justice Kwame Asiedu-Adibu from the committee, is one that the Justice Gabriel Pwamang has actually sat on cases that involved one of the petitioners, that is, one of the petitioners calling for the removal of the Chief Justice. And to specifically quote, it says that Gabriel Pwamang, having been a member of the panel in a case that have actually gone ahead to make findings in favor of that person, he does not believe that Justice Gabriel Pwamang should be on this committee. And so that is the first angle having to do with Justice Gabriel Pwamang. The second angle has to do with Justice Kwame Adibu, who is also on the committee. The Chief Justice's argument is that Justice Adibu had already been paneled to sit on the case filed by Vincent Ekoesefua against the CJ removal process before the president appointed him. And because of this, that lends itself to certain credence. And let me quote specifically what he says about Justice Gabriel Pwamang. It says that Justice Gabriel Scott Pwamang is not qualified to be a chairman or member of the committee set up by the president to inquire into the petitions against the plaintiff on account of having adjudicated and giving various rulings in favor of one of the petitioners, that is Daniel Ofori, in actions filed at the Supreme Court. And when it comes to Daniel, Justice Adibu says, as a member of the committee set up by the president to inquire into against the petition, at a time when he had already sat as a member of a panel of the Supreme Court constituted under Article 1282 of the Constitution.
All right, Kweku, we are grateful to you for the details that you've been sharing with us.
Well, Kojo, the Supreme Court has cleared the path for the five-member committee probing petitions against the Chief Justice, Gertrude Torkornoo, to continue its work. Now, two separate suits challenging the constitutionality of the process have been dismissed. Legal Affairs correspondent Latif Idrisi reports from the court.
Now, what is interesting in this case is that the lawyer for the Chief Justice, Kusi, made the argument that as far as he is concerned, there's been no prima facie determination established by the president, because in his explanation, if there were any prima facie determination, it would have found its way in the contents of the communication between the executive secretary of the president to the suspended Chief Justice, when he captured in that communique that the Chief Justice had been suspended because a prima facie determination had been made. He says the absence of the reasons that informed the prima facie determination meant that the suspension of the Chief Justice is unreasonable and arbitrary. And so he wanted the Supreme Court to make a determination on that particular stance. The case brought before the Supreme Court by Theodore Kofi Atakwote was called, and the argument was no different. Just as in this case, the lawyers of the plaintiff wanted an interlocutory injunction on the committee and a suspension of the operationalization of the warrant issued by the president, because just like the Ghana Bar Association had stated in their open threat to the president that they will go to the Supreme Court because the president did not act according to the dictates of the Constitution when he suspended the Chief Justice. He ought to have laid a constitutional instrument in Parliament, wait for it to mature in 21 days, and that would have given the president the powers to do what he did in respect of his suspension of the Chief Justice. In his view, lawyer for the plaintiff in this particular case also made the argument that the president had violated the law or the Constitution, and so the entire process must be deemed null and void. The Attorney General was represented in this case by the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Shremsai. He also made the argument that as far as they are concerned, the president has not violated any part of the Constitution, and that he went according to the dictates of the Constitution and found the argument by lawyers for the plaintiff as frivolous and an abuse of the court system.
Well, let's explore this further, and join me now is former Attorney General Godfrey Ebwadami, we appreciate your time here on Joe News Prime. He's not alone. We also have the former director for the Ghana School of Law, Kwanzaa Asare. We appreciate your time here on Joe News Prime. I'll start with you, Mr. Ebwadami. You're representing your client. What exactly are your concerns against the committee beginning its work?
Pardon me, I don't hear the question.
I want to understand your concerns when it comes to the committee beginning its work. What exactly is the concerns your client is filing?
The concerns are the flagrant violations of the Constitution that have been manifest in the actions of the President and the Council of State, and that have been witnessed throughout this whole procedure. And to start with, you saw that the President received the petitions in February, and the first two petitions were actually received around the 12th of February or so. It was not until the end of March that the President disclosed to the whole public that he had begun consultations with the Council of State. And it was actually through that process that the Chief Justice got to know about the petitions for the first time. There cannot be a more serious violation of the rights of a person as this.
But she was subsequently given the opportunity, if you allow me coming at this point, she was subsequently given the opportunity to make her submission.
Hello?
I can hear you loud and clear. You can.
Yes, I'm saying that. So, to start with, the process was riddled with unconstitutionality from the beginning, because the Chief Justice was actually deprived of notice of the petition for well over 6 weeks before same was made known to the public at the end of March, by which time the President had already begun consultations with the Council of State. And secondly, the President, after the Chief Justice had essentially begged for an opportunity of a hearing, and the President had granted the request and given the Chief Justice a copy of the petition, proceeded to determine a prima facie case and served the Chief Justice with notice of same, and that notice constituted nothing. Well, in my view, actually, that notice was no prima facie determination at all, because in that notice there were no reasons given for decision of the President to file a prima facie case against the Chief Justice. There was no indication of which of the allegations against the Chief Justice met the standard of prima facie case. There was no indication of which of the petitions essentially warranted the determination of prima facie case. So clearly, you find the Chief Justice in a situation where her rights had been violated right from the beginning. And she has no option
Fair point, but the first case that was filed in court, if you allow me, Mr. Dami, coming at this point in time, she was subsequently given the opportunity to also respond to some of the key concerns in the petition after she wrote to the presidency, you know, challenging the reason why she hasn't even seen a copy of the petition. So wherein lies the concerns you're raising?
What was the result of that opportunity? That opportunity resulted in the President making, or purportedly making, a prima facie determination and not disclosing the basis for same to the Chief Justice. Up to date, the Chief Justice has not been given any reasons at all for the prima facie determination that was made by the President.
Well, Mr. Dami, but the point is now the case has moved on. The committee wants to go into this. And, okay, I think
unfortunately, we've lost him because we just wanted to explore that further.
Because, I mean, once the CJ will be given the opportunity to meet the committee, she has the right to make a case there.
Exactly.
But we still have Mr. Kwanzaa Asare with us on the line. Mr. Asare, we've lost him too.
Oh dear.
When we get him, we'll bring it back because there's a lot that we can explore on this particular matter. But away from that story, the mayor of Accra is hitting back at critics who dismiss his decongestion effort as just another short-lived ritual of new leadership, insisting it was to work during his time. Speaking on PM Express, Nick Alote revealed that President John Dramani Mahama fully backs his campaign to reclaim the city streets from squatters and pavement traders. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, dozens of makeshift structures housing over 50 squatters have been pulled down at Seko Neoplan bus stop on day 2 of the ongoing Accra decongestion exercise. Let's listen to Mayor Alote there make his point on PM Express.
One, they want me to have leaders from their camp. Maybe I'll pick 4 or 5 of them to be their leaders. So I'm going to have a red line, which Okunwala Point did, Okunwala Point style. If you remember the red line, the famous red line. I'm going to have a similar red line tomorrow. So we're gonna stay back the line, and the leaders will control them. So it's not something. It's another 9-day wonder thing. But it's something that's come to stay, and I want it to stay because it's something I want to do. And if I'm no more the mayor, it's one of the things I want to leave behind. That when the mayor clears the roads, it makes sure the roads was cleared.
Meanwhile, the Ghana chair has pledged full support for the mayor to ensure that their Clean Ghana agenda becomes a reality.
Traditional council ke manchemeni yo gan okeba pianye ni nuchumanya aya no echenkra woganye bayi mano na mena ke woyenye se chemeta shi na mekwe biye si woke biye bayi mano ni wokwe ani ga ave vale sanna ka no ebodi wo tree amling wole ake fe ni wadu ekwani chumoko ye chen afi fale femo ni nyeko nyefo nyehiye ne wokenye ba fagbeko echen kra wokenye ba ya manse ya chiminta onu wo ya manso edwe no iwa kwe boni ameko amekra fale femo ye man ni wokenye no afi okadi.
Well, let's now bring you how today's exercise, which took place at Circle, where the officers of the assembly, removed squatters at a place behind the bus stop at Circle, and they've promised to station security officers there to ensure that the squatters do not return back. And the assembly says they did that exercise based on intelligence they gathered about illicit drug trade in that particular area. James Avaji was there and has this report.
The Accra decongestion exercise took a new turn on the second day, this time with police and national security operatives. The officers demolished dozens of makeshift structures erected behind this bus stop here, opposite the new planned police station.
But you see electric wires on the floor, which indicates that there is full live happening here. I just see a board there, an electric board there with a main switch, which I'm sure had been disconnected, and that is the source of power they use to power the fridges and other accessories here in order to help them undertake their work.
When we came, we tried to get access to the meter. So we took all the power off from the meter. They have a central meter. The meter is with us, AMA. It's in the office. We're going to use the meter to interrogate, to investigate, to find out whose name is on that meter. And that will be where we arrest whoever owns the meter and who is paying the electricity bills to.
Sub-Metro Director of Okaikwe South, Mercy Odoe, reveals that the operation was based on intelligence they picked up about drug and other illicit activities happening at the place.
We want to ensure sanity prevails in our communities, in our cities. We come here, we know this place is a bus stop. Yet we come, people are engaged in all sorts of activities. If you had come earlier, you go behind this bus stop and you can see what is going on there. People are selling drugs, aphrodisiacs, engaging in narcotics at the full glare of the public. Yet nobody says anything.
After over 3 hours of breaking down the structures and cleaning up the place, the officers marched to a place called Lucifer's Village at Circle Las Palmas to direct them to evict the place. Metropolitan Environmental Health Officer Joseph Asitanga assures the demolition will be extended to other parts of the Circle area.
They are jokers. AMA is out for it. They are all jokers. It's better they take their personal belongings to a safer place where they can have access to their personal belongings. But for here, the whole stretch of the bridge to the end of the big roundabout, taking the Circle roundabout, The junkies, we are out for them until they leave this place.
Meanwhile, our checks on the traffic situation on the Tudu, Mokola, and Kantamanto stretches 24 hours after the first decongestion exercise shows high level of compliance as traffic continues to flow freely. The AMA has begun marking the pavement to avert a possible re-encroachment by the traders. The exercise continues on Wednesday. James Savaji, Joy News, Accra.
Well, away from that, despite the sharp appreciation of the Ghana cedi against major international trading currencies, Ghanaian traders say they still need some more time for consumers to see widespread corresponding reduction in prices of goods and services. Well, the cedi is today trading at 11.85 cedi to the dollar. Cumulatively, the cedi has appreciated by 18%, triggering widespread calls for the reduction in prices and services. But Guta still maintains their stance. They will need more time for that to happen. We'll hear from them shortly. But first, here is the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Johnson Esiama, who says that the appreciation of the cedi is a sign of macroeconomic progress.
We are also seeing encouraging signs of macroeconomic progress. For example, Ghana has reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF regarding the fourth review of the ECF program. And although some prior actions remain outstanding, the trajectory is clearly positive. Now, you also would have heard about the recent S&P upgrade of Ghana's sovereign rating from a selective default to CCC positive, which further affirms this progress. Our external reserves have strengthened, and the trade balance has improved, as well as the consumer and business confidence indices rising steadily.
We can now listen to Head Businesses and Economic Bureau of Guta, Charles Kusi-Appiah-Kubi, who says traders will still need some time.
Of course, it will take some time. You see, it's about what we call the FIFO, first in, first out. Those who are holding those stocks are trying to reduce it, okay, to sell so that they can bring in new stocks. When new stocks come, that's where you see a drastic reduction in terms of prices. But for now, there's been some marginal price reduction within the market. And I think that is positive.
But the generality would have to see it in the next few days, not now.
Oh, definitely. And with the effect of, what do you call it, prices of lower face, I mean, having a 15% or so effective Saturday, you should see other items also responding. Because one of the challenges is that, especially when it comes to local product or produce, some gauge prices are good. The challenge is about transportation. So if fares are coming down, obviously for Monday, we should be seeing fares of local produce, of local product also coming down.
Cedi's appreciation in the first 4 months of this year has been miraculous, but is this an unprecedented case? Joy News' lead analyst Isaac Kofi joins us with comparative analysis. Kofi, what do we know from the data?
Well, so this is the best time to do comparative analysis because the debate still continues, especially on social media, as to who should this credit be given. But what we are trying to do is to take the first 135 days of every government since redenomination in 2007 and trying to see if what we are seeing is truly unprecedented. So what we did is that we took the exchange rate performance of the cedi in the first 135 days of every president since we did redenomination in 2007, and this is the result that we got. So you can see the reds. That means depreciation, and if you see anything green, that is an appreciation. And what you can see is that definitely just by looking at the chart, you can see the outlier here in 2025, and that has been the talk of town. So if you look at, may his soul rest in peace,
Professor John Evans
exactly, in 2009 when he actually came to office, in his first 135 days, let's see the performance of the cedi. He actually lost some 7.69% to the dollar. Same with John Mahama, his first stanza in 2013. The CD lost some 4.21%. President Akufo-Addo, first 135 days, his first term 2017, the CD lost some 2.82%. He did a reverse in 2020. COVID got, reserves were actually increasing and all of that. He was able to get some 1.9% in terms of appreciation. But what we are seeing this year, so unprecedented, looks like an outlier. That's where a lot of people are saying, look, nobody actually predicted it. Nobody actually saw us getting to this point. And if you compare this to what we have done in the past, Mahama, to his own record in 2013, his first stanza, you can see a sharp contrast. He was in the reds in 2013, but today we are praising him for being in the green. Now, if we do the math for Siwas quoting, $1, 11 cedis, 85 pesos. Yeah. Let's do the math now. If you talk about the rate of appreciation, cumulatively or continuously, we are talking about some 19.39% since the start of the year. That's amazing. Definitely an outlier here. So we'll be doing more on the city, and definitely Joy News is the place to stay for some of this analysis.
Looking forward to the day where a cedi will equal $1.
No.
It's possible.
We won't get there.
We just say no.
We won't get there. But at least this is encouraging. This is positive and something that we must, commend. But again, as you say, we need to understand why this
is going on.
But it's beautiful. It's good for all of us here in Ghana. But we, as consumers, want to know when exactly Guta or the traders will let us feel the impact of this. Now, away from that, though, thousands of university students face potential disruption as non-teaching staff at Ghana's public universities declare an indefinite nationwide strike today, citing unmet demand and feeling pushed to the wall. Semefa Kwesu has the rest of the story.
A nationwide strike by senior staff associations has brought Ghana's universities to a standstill, with the Senior Staff Association of Ghana, University of Ghana Chapter, Technical University Administrators Association of Ghana, and Federation of Universities Senior Staff Association of Ghana leading the charge. George Ansong is the national chairman of the Senior Staff Association of Ghana, UG Chapter.
Hear from us until the government pays or honors the agreement signed on the 12th of November 2024. Go home.
The leadership of the Senior Staff Association Universities of Ghana, SSAU of G, the Technical University Administrators Association of Ghana, TUAG, and the Federation of University Senior Staff Association of Ghana, FUSAG, announce with deep regret but unwavering resolve our decision to embark on an indefinite strike action. Effective today, 21st May 2025.
The unions claim that both current and former governments have reneged on a 6-month-old agreement to improve their conditions of service and welfare. They say, despite repeated follow-ups, no progress has been made, prompting the strike.
There's no need of re-signing anything, because when we signed, we were told they could not implement it at that time because of the closeness of the election. So when the new government came, we followed up. We were told the president is yet to select his ministers, so we should hold on. We said, fine. After the ministers, we followed up. They said they were going to factor it into the budget, so we should hold on. We said, fine. After the budget, we wrote letters. We followed it up with a meeting with the Minister of Education. He promised of following it up for it to be implemented as soon as possible. That has not come to pass. We followed it up at the Ministry of Finance. We were told the letter has been drafted. It's left with somebody to sign. Up till now, that letter has not been signed.
Well, the National Labour Commission has directed the striking teachers to return to work, and that statement is coming up on your screen shortly. It reads that the National Labour Commission, in pursuance of its powers under Article 1391D of the Labour Act 2003, Act 651, directs the following unions: the Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, the Technical University Administrators Association of Ghana, and Federation of Universities Senior Staff Association of Ghana to call off their strike. On the 21st of May 2025, the parties appeared. The complainant unions were represented by the National Chairman and General Secretary of FUSAG and the National Chairman and Vice Chairman of TUAG, accompanied by other executive, which is the SSA-UG. One of the complainant unions were absent, according to that statement, was absent. The respondents were represented by the AG, the Deputy Director General, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, the Head of Legal and other officials of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Principal Budget Analysis Ministry of Finance, and one other. Well, the Commission was informed at the hearing by the representatives of government, the respondent, that notwithstanding the Commission's directive that the complainant unions must stay off the intended strike action, they have flouted this directive. Now, they go on to say that this information was confirmed per copy of press release signed by the leadership of the three unions dated 21st May 2025, titled SSA-UG, TUAG, and FUSAG embark on indefinite strike over government's continued breach of agreement. Now, in view of this, the Commission declined to hear the matter in accordance with Section 161 of Act 651 until the complainant union call off the strike and duly notify the Commission of same. The parties are accordingly advised.
Well, you're still watching Joy News Prime. We will take a short break here. We'll be back, so please do stay. All right, welcome back to the Joy News Prime.
To other stories now, 22-year-old Martha has lived in a shelter her entire life until she aged out and was left with nowhere to go. Like many rescued by the state, she was promised care but abandoned halfway. Now she faces life on the streets. Her story highlights deep failures uncovered during a recent tour of shelters by Parliament's Gender, Children and Social Protection Committee. Adobe Asari reports.
Martha has lived at the New Life Nungwa Children's Home since she was a baby. It's been her only home, keeping her safe from the dangers of the streets.
I've been here since 22 years ago.
So you were a baby when you were brought in?
Yes, please.
And where are you now? Are you schooling?
Yes, please, I'm schooling.
Where?
I'm in University of Professional Studies, UPSA, Banking and Finance. I want to become an entrepreneur.
But for the kindness of shelter workers and individual donors, Martha and many children like her would be left without basic needs. Sadly, state support for these shelters is scarce. During a tour of shelters, the Parliamentary Committee on Gender, Children and Social Protection uncovered a system in crisis. Children with special needs are often cared for by untrained staff, while shelter managers struggle alone to cover utility bills and feeding costs. Caretakers say they are overwhelmed and urgently need the government to take responsibility.
A lot of challenges, especially when it comes to these utility bills, water, lights, gas, because we don't use firewood. When I came in, I said that we should talk to the government to help us talk to Zoom Lion. If they can make it free for us, at least it's supposed to be, because these children are not our own, it's for everybody.
The Department of Social Welfare says its hands are tied due to limited resources, making consistent support and monitoring almost impossible. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Gender, Children and Social Protection, Helen Ntoso, describes the system as unsustainable.
We've appealed to the ministry that during a review, the budget review, if they can, actually increase their budget because they are actually struggling.
She promises immediate reforms to ensure these vulnerable children, especially those with special needs, receive the care they deserve.
Definitely, we have to do that. We have to do that because they were even talking about their utilities. You know, if the state, because if for what we're told, the police, social welfare, bring these children to them. So if the state is giving children with learning disabilities, you know, children who do not have homes, to a private entity, then it means that you've got to resource them.
But as Martha and countless others wait, children remain at risk on the streets and unsafe homes with no clear sign that help is coming soon.
Authorities have started pruning weak and overgrown branches along the Atomic Kwabenya Road with several mahogany and other fragile trees marked for removal. The exercise follows growing concerns over the condition of some of the trees, which have become weak and pose a danger to motorists. Some of the overgrown branches have become entangled with power lines, further heightening safety risks. However, the decision to remove some of them has drawn sharp criticism from environmental groups. Arocha Ghana has strongly condemned the move, describing it as environmental sabotage and shameful. They say the felling of trees along the Atomic Hacho stretch must cease immediately with a clear, enforceable plan for replanting provided. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
The usual traffic here at the Atomic First Gate and the Kwabenya Police Station stretch is conspicuously missing. What is, however, striking here is the many mahogany and other trees that have formed a canopy on the stretch.
Some of the mahogany trees lining this road are over 60 years old. But this isn't the first time their survival has been under threat. Now they are at risk again. I've met Reverend Joseph Adika. He loves trees and describes himself as an environmentalist.
We need to be educated about the value of trees. And if that education is not there, people will disregard the essence of trees, you understand. In Ghana today, I don't think that a lot of people value trees.
Executive Secretary for the Voluntary Work Camps Association of Ghana, Zachariah Mwinson, says cutting down the trees undermines Ghana's efforts in fighting climate change.
This is causing a threat to the community, especially with regards to the agenda on climate change. So cutting down the trees is not an alternative.
At the office of an environmental advocacy group, Arocha Ghana, Executive Director Darryl Bosu called the plant felling an environmental sabotage and shameful.
There are trees by the roadside, they look beautiful, they provide a significant benefit, they clean the air, they cool the environment. Once you drive through that area, you can be driving in from the hot sun. Once you get under those trees, you can feel the difference in the coolness of the air. So we are really happy that those trees are there. We have assessed the stretch of that particular area where the trees are. And what we have noticed is that there are no drainages along that particular stretch of road. So when it rains, water collects under the root system, making the trees unstable. And that's why every little wind comes and you see a tree falling.
But the Forestry Commission says it is not a blanket approval to cut trees. Manager, Corporate Affairs and Media Relations of the Forestry Commission says the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission has been instructed to replace any trees they remove.
They were given the permission to remove 8 mahogany trees, 6 leucaena trees, and prune 43 mahogany trees. For some of the trees, the ones that are going to be removed, you can see that they are literally dead. Even though they are standing there, it is dead. So it needs to be removed. We made it explicitly clear that they have to replace all the trees that they are removing.
Let's take you now to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where many commuters are not celebrating the upcoming 15% reduction in transport fares. Instead, they are bracing for more out-of-pocket costs. Even before the fare cuts take effect, passengers say they are being dropped off mid-route and forced to pay extra to reach their destination. The practice, known locally as Shortshots, is leaving daily travelers frustrated and financially stretched. Rabna Akwe reports from Kumasi.
Transport fares are expected to go down by at least 15% next week. But for many commuters, relief still feels far off. That is because of a growing trend called Shortshots, where commercial drivers drop passengers off halfway and demand extra fares to continue the journey.
If I was the government, I would make sure that, yes, the rules, the price have been changed, people will follow it. If you don't, and issue a task force, let them make sure that they will comply with the law. Otherwise, Ghana will never move forward.
In the evenings, Ejiso is 5 cedis, but they charge 10 cedis. From here to town is 5 cedis 50 pesos, but you spend about 20 cedis coming back, and it's not good. They should decrease it.
They do that when they see a lot of passengers. As there's no one here, they will go to Kejetia Edum Street.
Drivers say they are not trying to cheat the system. They blame high demand, fuel and spare parts cost. For them, breaking journeys into smaller sections is the only way to stay afloat.
We will continue to do Shortshots. The fare was increased and has now been decreased. They should maintain the fare. If they insist on decreasing fares, Shortshots is now about to become rampant. We buy 1 gallon of fuel for 60 cedis. Loading for a straight journey will amount to 62 cedis. When we don't do Shortshots, we'll use the money for fuel.
The question remains, are passengers going to feel the difference? Or are practices like Shortshots still going to bite into their already far-stretched budgets? Reporting for Joy News, Rabna Akwe, Kumasi.
Well, in a region where access to quality maternal health care can be a matter of life and death, a timely logistical boost is giving hope to the next generation of midwives. Non-profit organization Moving Health has donated medical equipment, computers, and essential training tools worth 250,000 cedis to the Tumu Midwifery Training College in the Upper West region. Rafiq Salam has more.
Moving Health is a non-profit organization that has a mixture of social and community health workers and engineers who come together to design, fabricate, and deploy affordable emergency transportation for rural areas. They have been working in the Sisala East municipality since 2019, where they manufactured tricycle ambulances to serve rural communities in Ghana, particularly supporting pregnant women in reaching emergency care. The organization's mission is to ensure that everyone, regardless of their location, can access health care when they need it most. Chief Executive Officer of Moving Health, Azikama Kwansa, speaking at a ceremony to donate medical equipment, computers, and training for students of Tumu Midwifery Training College and midwives, noted the significant success chalked by his outfit with the donation of the tricycle ambulance.
We've been able to make strides in helping reduce the maternal mortality rate in the municipal assembly through our ambulances deployed to the various CHIP compounds. Today we have about 21 ambulances in the region itself, connecting about 100,000 people and family.
Azikama Kwansa then zeroed in on the donation of the medical equipment and computers valued at 250,000 Ghana cedis.
Moving Health has donated close to over 250,000 Ghana cedi worth of items, which includes the 25 computers to set up the new computer lab, and also a lot of medical training equipment to refurbish the new lab.
Principal of the Tumu Midwifery Training College, Mary Saratu Adama, was grateful for the donation. She spoke of the benefits the students will derive from the usage of the items.
Enable the students practice on hand with the mannequins as to how to deliver how to attend to patients. And so the donation will go a long way to benefit us.
Also excited were the students.
It's not sufficient. And for that reason, students they can't practice.
Well, welcome back. But it's such a sad way to welcome you to the, the showbiz segment of the show. Because if you are not watching,
okay,
Manchester United is down by a goal to nil in the ongoing finals of the Europa League. I mean, I don't know what is happening to our defense, but that's what is happening to Manchester United.
That should be your problem. That should be Evans's problem.
Yeah, a lot of United fans are watching us.
So I'm supposed to sympathize with
you? You have to sympathize with us. What happens to empathy?
I'm sorry for you, Manchester, but I need to tell you about
No. Have you checked the color on your lip?
I love red. Doesn't mean that I love Manchester.
You should love Manchester if you love red.
My sister is with Manchester. But I love the entertainment industry, Breeze. I love the movie industry, and this is very important. We have to talk about it. Because veteran actor Fred Amugi has called on creatives who have been appointed to various positions in government to make the creative sector more productive. Speaking to Doreen Avio, the actor admonished that plans are put in place to project Ghana's creative sector.
For the moment, a lot of our actors, or should I say entertainers are in government now, and it looks like most of them, this is their first time getting into it. You have seen others who have been in it, others who have gone out of it. These are new and they are young. What is that advice you would want to give to them to be able, to help them work and also help us shape our industry?
The complaints that they have given before, because people were not taking a second look at our theater and our filmmaking. Now that they are sitting there, what they used to complain about, this is the time to push and let it happen. I would want to say gone were the days when getting even one reporter to talk about a pending play was a problem. No, it's like concert, but the so-called concert that we're talking about are the very things that have made America what it is today, made India what it is today, made Nigeria what it is today. Because the man on the stage, the man before the camera, is telling a story of, what is going on. Let me say a story of nature. So when we sit back and we think, it doesn't work that way. Everybody must actually put his hand to the wheel. So, especially the James Gardners, the Kafui, the KO did them all. This is the time, to put things we all used to talk about negatively, to make them positive. That's all I want to say to them.
Grace, before we go, Jennifer Lopez is being sued for posting photos of herself at a Hollywood party with photographer and a paparazzi agency, saying she failed to get permission to use them. The singer and actress shared pictures on social media of herself arriving at the Amazon MGM Studios and Vanity Fair party in Los Angeles the night before this year's Golden Globes in January. Photographer Edwin Blanco and Backgrig, the agency he was working for, have each filed lawsuits saying they own the copyrights to 2 photos. The pictures were used, quote, to promote Ms. Lopez's public appearances, boost users' engagement, increase shareability, and lend credibility to her branded contents. They argue Backgrade and Mr. Blanco are seeking up to $150,000 damages each per photo. The pictures show the star in a white dress and a white fox fur coat outside the party at Chateau Marmont. She posted them on Instagram and X with the caption "Gigi Weekend Glamour" unquote, and they were then shared by numerous fans and fashion pages. Ms. Lopez's unauthorized use of the images is commercial in nature, intended for the purpose of self-promotion, the lawsuit said.
Hey.
Can you imagine, Breeze?
Hey.
That I step out and I get a photo taken of me. I post it on my Instagram, then I get sued. So like McAfee, for example, took that picture, then he's suing me for $150,000.
I'm sure this will be an interesting case, because I would also go and argue that, did you seek permission before taking my image?
Well, she posed.
Well, she posed. Well, but is that a permission for you to?
Well, she didn't. The thing too is she didn't mention, you know, give credits. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay. All right.
Give credits to where credits is due. We're grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. How do I look? I know I look great.
Look splendid.
Oh, thank you, Brace.
Anyway.
Please log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more on that particular page. There's nowhere else but Joy News. But Pius will also be here to give you everything happening in the world of business. Then my very good friend Musbal Razak will also be here on the Joy News channel, bringing you everything sports. You don't want to miss it. Bye-bye.